Hey, Andrew.
Yes, Steven?
You know how we romanticize the days of going out to our local video store and sifting through endless amounts of movies, searching for our favorite films, and maybe even finding some hidden gems?
Oh yes, I know it all too well. That used to be my favorite thing to do. Unfortunately, everything is online now.
Well, what if I told you that there was a place online where you could get some of them same thrills as going to the video store?
Are you talking about Orbit DVD?
I knew you knew what I was talking about. Orbit DVD is located in Asheville, North Carolina, and online with OrbitDVD.com, they bring you everything your physical media heart desires.
Yeah, they have an awesome website that stays up to date with the latest releases from all of your favorite boutique labels as well as studio releases. Not only do they carry American labels such as Criterion Collection, Severin Films, Vinegar Syndrome, and Warner Archive, but they get routine shipments on imports from companies such as 88 Films, Arrow Video, Imprint, and so much more.
And with the option to sell or trade your used copies for cash or store credit, they really bring that video store vibe to you. So go to OrbitDVD.com and stock up on your Blu-rays.
And tell them Chasing Labels sent you.
Welcome to another episode of Chasing Labels. I am your host, Stephen Billings, and with me, as always, is your other host, Sneezer Sneezerson. That's him. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes, that is my nickname.
Yeah, Andrew Cabral.
Sneezing my way through the podcast, I guess. I don't know. You know what it is? I've had my air condition on for about a month straight now, because it's been like in the middle of like a month-long heat wave.
Yeah.
And I just, the cold air just makes me sneeze, I guess. That's what it is.
It does. It can do that. Yeah.
So that's what it's been. But this is spine number or episode number 61, I believe, Stephen?
Yes.
Good. I'm glad someone's keeping track of all this because I know I definitely am not.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Yeah,
you
I
knew.
guess a little bit.
You knew.
I had to actually look at my desktop because I save all of the audio files to my desktop. So I'm frantically looking at it, being like, okay, what was the last one? Because they're all spread out. And so I had no idea where we were for a second. But like I said, this is Chasing Labels episode, spy number 61. We are back here once again for another episode of covering the Blu-ray announcements from this past week. And it is the first week of August. So we are now in the dog days of summer, as they say, Stephen.
Yes, they do say that. And there's nothing dog days about what we're talking about today.
No.
I don't know. That didn't really make sense.
Involved.
I just wanted to use your saying, and it didn't really work out. Sorry. Messed that up.
That's okay. You worked it in.
There's no dog day afternoon in this slate of
Nice.
movies.
Talk about a movie that's been re-released so many times on Blu-ray, and it's the same exact transfer
yes.
over and over again.
Yes.
That could use a 4K release. Just saying.
Well,
Someone
you
put
said
it,
it, now it's going to happen. So
it could. It could very well. We're at the point now where, for those of you out there like trying to fill in gaps in your collections and all that kind of stuff, be wary because sometimes and oftentimes the movies that you're going to be buying on Blu-ray are going to get re-released in 4K.
It seems to be the thing now. But I mean, look, if it looks good on Blu-ray and you can save a few bucks, just get that damn Blu-ray. Save some money.
Do whatever you want.
Do whatever the hell you want. But I'm saying, as somebody that's de-escalating his buying habits.
Ooh, that's a good word.
Yeah, you can. The Blu-ray is usually fine, unless it's an old Blu-ray, of course. Andrew talks about that all the time.
This, like every week.
Yes.
Where it's like there are some kind of scenarios where an upgrade is desperate and needed, and about damn time it's happened.
Yes.
And there are some things that are going straight from DVD to 4K UHD. That's a hell of a leap, I think. That's a warranted leap for a lot of these titles.
Yeah.
But we'll be talking about some stuff this week, a little spread out, I would say, Stephen.
It's a little all over the place, yeah.
A little all over the place, little first week jitters, I guess. But what's going on right now is on the first of every month, Vinegar Syndrome and their partner labels are dropping stuff. But we'll talk about that kind of towards the end of the episode. That'll be our headliner. Our headliner will be that, because we kind of teased it last week, so I figured we'd we'd pull it off.
We'll make you wait
on.
even longer. For
Yeah,
that
I was gonna
one.
say put it off till later on.
Yeah.
So, but starting off, I guess we'll go with a couple of individual releases. I do want to touch on the BFI had a couple of announcements this week. They're releasing a box set of sorts, I would say, or a volume 1. I'm assuming another volume of this must be coming out later, and it is Ghost Stories for Christmas Volume 1, a 3-disc Blu-ray box set. Typically, the BFI is region locked to the UK when it comes to their releases, so be mindful of that. But these are 4 films that were broadcast on the BBC between 1968 and 1973. They're all ghost stories. They're all adaptations of M.R. James, who wrote these short story ghost stories in the late 19th century. Obviously, I believe a British author. And the films are Whistle and I'll Come to You, The Stalls of Barchester, A Warning to the Curious, and then Lost Hearts. And you can actually watch all of these movies right now currently on YouTube. You can find them there. They're not in good condition to be watched on there. I'll have to warn you about that. They may be unwatchable for some. I'll be honest, if I was probably not doing the show, I wouldn't have watched them on there because they are in rough shape. But I'm assuming they're going to look much, much better on this release, and they are coming with a bunch of special features. The most one that I feel that people know of the most is the first one, Whistle and I'll Come to You. Seemed to get very positive feedback when it came to like IMDb, when it came to Letterboxd. I believe John Hurt stars in that movie, so that automatically, I guess. Oh no, John Hurt starred in a 2010 readaptation of Whistle and I'll Come to You, which of course was now 12 years ago, and that is actually included on this release as well. So you get 2 adaptations of that story, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see that updated version.
So will I, because the movie is, these are all short films, I forgot to mention. So the first film is, what, 44, 42 minutes long. The second film, I believe, is 45 minutes long.
Something like that, yeah. They're all under an hour.
Yeah, and a Warning to the Curious, I think, is 50 minutes, and then Lost Hearts is 35 minutes. Don't quote me on those run times, but they're all under an hour long, and I consider anything under an hour a short.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about that, Steven.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, if it's over an hour, you're going into featured territory, I think. But I mean, it did roughly, yeah. And it looks like also that there's another updated maybe another updated version of one of the movies too, also in here. That's The Stalls of Barchester is also got and Warnings of the Curious have his 2000. I think that's an updated version too.
Oh wow!
Or maybe I might be reading this wrong.
It says Lawrence Gordon Clark introductions, which is 33 minutes long. He's introducing The Stalls of Barchester, A Warning to the Curious, and Lost Hearts, previously recorded for the BFI's DVD release. I don't know if you're looking at that.
Well, I see down here it says Ghost Stories for Christmas with Christopher Lee, The Stalls of Barchester, and A Warning of the Curious, 2060 minutes long. So is he just talking about the movies?
What is that? Yeah.
Or, is
he what I did also find on YouTube as well, and this is what this may be, is there are people who are reading these short stories, like audiobook-wise.
Well, maybe that's what it is.
That could be Christopher Lee reading these stories. If that's the case,
that's kind of
cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. I know Christopher Lee did that with like Edgar Allan Poe stories, where he did like some readings of those poems and like The Raven and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Very cool to listen to around Halloween time, of course. This feels like a Halloween set, to be honest with you. I mean, this is it's interesting that this is coming out in December versus October.
Well, we were already saying before the podcast how weird this set is, because how weird that these films were considered to be movies put out at Christmas. It must be like a Christmas in July thing for British people.
Like that.
Like the BBC was like, let's be weird and go against type and put out these like gothic-y kind of ghost stories out at Christmas time. I don't know.
Almost like I was kind of thinking like a Krampus story, but
Yeah.
Krampus is actually kind of directly connected to Christmas in a kind of twisted way, whereas these aren't really connected at all. So all of these films are some type of ghost story where someone is unearthing an artifact that ends up haunting them, or someone, a whistle and I'll come to you, someone finds an ancient whistle, blows it, and then starts getting haunted by spirits.
Yeah.
Stalls of Barchester, someone is reading a journal and discovering a dark, seedy past. Lost Hearts, this young boy is living in an orphanage and he's seeing visions or dreams of previous kids who were at the orphanage who were murdered. So you're discovering kind of that story, and they're kind of haunting the orphanage. Lost Hearts reminded me a lot of Guillermo del Toro's
Yeah.
Devil's Backbone.
Devil's Backbone,
Like,
yeah.
like he must have seen this. He
Yeah,
must have seen it. Knowing Del Toro, this is right up his alley. Right up his alley.
Yeah, even down to the kids, the ghost
The way
version.
they looked.
The way they looked, yeah.
Where it was kind of great. They just kind of gave them like grayish makeup to make their skin look,
And their
gray,
fingers were
decayed,
elongated,
ghost-like.
and like
Yeah,
almost
and
Nosferatu like.
The way they would walk very so slowly,
Yeah.
the way they would smile in creepy ways, and there would be this music playing that was so unsettling. Lost Hearts was kind of the better one out of all of these because it had that suspense, it had that tension, and it had a good rhythm to it.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, it's the shortest of these films at 35 minutes, but I think it was the most modern in terms of its
Yeah.
approach to suspense and frightening people.
Yeah.
The other ones were a little elongated, a little slower, more plotting.
I think Whistle and I'll come to you is probably my favorite though, because it does have like a surrealistic angle, and I'm surprised.
the third part.
Yeah. Like, and there's a lot of times in the story where the man wakes up, and it's the moment that I think a lot of us have had, where you wake up in the middle of the night and you hear noises and you don't really know where the noises are coming from. And
that happens to me every single night.
Yeah. And so
every single night I hear a bump, a creak, a noise in my house somewhere.
Yeah.
And I've reached the point where I'm like, oh yeah, it's something. Whatever.
Well, yeah.
I can't worry about it anymore.
Yeah, but this guy's, of course, in a place where he's not really familiar with.
And also he did blow this ancient whistle.
Yeah.
That he found like on a beachhead somewhere.
Yeah, idiot.
Once again, it's one of those things where, like, if you see something that looks weird out there, don't touch it, don't take it, don't do anything with it. Just keep walking right past it.
Yeah.
That's the one thing movies have taught us about ancient artifacts.
Well, of course, movies probably didn't really exist in that way with this guy.
Course.
So it's not his fault.
Yeah, these films are kind of period pieces, so
but
don't really know.
But yeah, there's like moments also where he's like dreaming, and like his dreams are like almost like they're like blending with reality. Like he can't really distinct. He keeps seeing this sheet like floating in the wind throughout his dreams, and then he's like, what the hell is that all about? Like, it keeps popping up in his dreams, and then at the end of the movie you see what happens, and it kind of like connects to the real world. It scares the shit out of him.
Yeah.
I liked it. Yeah, I liked it. It's simple, but it's I think with the new transfers, like it'll look a lot better. Some of it's pretty well shot. So, yeah, it's an interesting
very
set.
Much so.
Yeah,
they're all black. Yeah, they're all in black and white. They're all in 4:3 aspect ratio because you know how big of an aspect ratio fiend I am. So, I was wondering that too because I'm like, oh, these all came out like late 60s, early 70s. These should be in widescreen, but no, they were broadcast on TV. That's the one thing you got to keep in mind. Is that widescreen came to movies in the 50s. Widescreen didn't come to TV until, like, I would say late 90s, early 2000s. Like,
and not every show adapted it right off the bat.
Yeah, and even then, not every show adapted. A lot of shows didn't even adapt high definition until later on.
Yeah.
Like, I've been going back and watching some shows I watched when I was, growing up as a teenager in the 2000s. The 2000s, and it's like, a lot of these stuff don't look good. They just don't look good because they're all in standard def.
Yeah.
But moving on to another BFI release, they're putting out a release of Watership Down, but a 4K UHD release of Watership Down. As many people know, Watership Down has a Criterion release from several years ago that has a lot of great special features in it, including speaking of Guillermo del Toro, a 12-minute interview with Guillermo del Toro, I believe, is on that disc. Just fascinating about how much he's taken from Watership Down in terms of his animation style, because he does a lot with animation now. But Watership Down is probably a film that many, many people have seen. I have only seen it recently. I didn't see it when I was younger. It's not a movie for children.
Yeah.
It's not a movie that it's one of the first, maybe not first, but it's one of those movies that it's an adult film but done in animation, which is typically and not right considered a child's medium. But we all know now that animation can be very adult.
Oh yeah.
For decades now. It's not just a children's medium or anything like that. And it still has that negative spin on it, which is kind of odd to me, especially in today's society with the way movies are so accessible. But Watership Down is a classic film from 1978, I believe it came out. It's an allegorical story. It's such a unique animation style that you've never seen. It has like these painted backgrounds that look like straight from a storybook, but it has the animation of these rabbits and anthropomorphic creatures, and it's an allegorical story about the hero's journey and about survival, and there's politics in it and all kinds of stuff. It's a very, can be very graphic at times. Like when there's blood in it, that blood is gruesome and it's there, and that's why it's not for children, because there's violence in it. But this film is every bit as good and memorable a film as its reputation suggests. Although, I will say this, people are like, oh, it's such a harsh film, it's so brutal. There's worse out there.
Yeah.
I mean, in comparison's sake, there are other films that are even harsher and even more kind of pessimistic and darker. Just watch like any anime film and you'll get there. But I'm curious of how it's going to look aesthetically, because it is a film very much of its time when it comes to its aesthetic. 1978 animation is not the same as 2022 animation, and I'm curious how much more can you make this movie look good. I mean, the Blu-ray, is very recent. So, Steven, I know you've seen this movie a few years. I don't know how familiar you are.
It's been a while. Yeah, it's been a while. But yeah, I agree with you. It's up there with a lot of other films of its ilk. There's some other great ones. What's the film? I think BFI might have put out another animated film that's like pretty adult. I think it's called like Blown Up or God, what is it called? It's in my collection. I could go get it, but I don't.
Oh wow, you even have it.
I have it, and I don't remember what it's called.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'll keep an eye out.
You just keep talking, and then I'll come back around to it. I'll figure it out.
Okay then.
Yeah.
So when it comes to comparison's sake, with special features, typically the case, and I'm pretty sure the case in this scenario is that the special features for the Criterion edition will be different than this one. I can just tell you that I don't think that Guillermo del Toro interview is on there. I think it may be exclusive. They talked to the director, Martin Rosen, which is interesting is when you watch that interview, this is actually the first animated movie Martin Rosen ever did. So he had no idea how to approach it. He didn't realize the difference between directing actors in movies and directing animation is can be very different.
Yeah.
Like in animation, you're directing the artwork, you're directing the artists, you're not really directing the actors to a certain extent, because the animation, the movements and all that stuff are done by artists, they're not done by actors.
Yeah.
So that was very fascinating to kind of learn about the movie. The Criterion release did come out in 2015. I think it may have come from just a high definition transfer, so this one's probably going to look better. But like I said, I don't know how much better it will look. But when it comes to its animation style, it reminded me a lot of like those 80s cartoons that were, not quite Disney. I'm thinking of like Land Before Time and American Tail and things like that. But Watership Down is more adult in theme and less harsher of an animation than those films are, because those films, while dealing with adult themes, were delivering those adult themes to children. I think of All Dogs Go to Heaven, which to this day is still one of the saddest movies I've ever seen. I think that movie had a profound effect on me as a young child. But it reminded me a lot of that, and also even before Watership Down, we had adult animation in like Ralph Bakshi's films like Fritz the Cat and stuff like that. Watership Down is not Fritz the Cat. It's not like that, but it is delivering us, those adult things. But moving on from Watership Down.
Real quick, I figured it out.
Okay, you found it.
Yeah. So
I was trying to stall for as much time as I could.
Yeah. When the Wind Blows.
Oh,
which is another British animated film from '86, and it's all about like, nuclear war.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think there's a U.S. release of that, done by Severin.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a Severin release of When the Wind Blows. Yeah, that was from '86. Cool. I actually kind of want to watch that now that you mentioned it.
Yeah, it's. I think I have it's either the BFI put it out in the UK or...
and it looks like Twilight Time had put it out previous to the Severin release. Yes. That's what it looks like to me. So the Twilight Time release came out in 2014, sold out. Obviously, they no longer had the rights to it, so Severin must have scooped up the rights and put it out in 2020.
Yeah, I have the BFI release. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I kind of...
connected.
Have you watched it yet?
Yeah, I watched it back when I bought it. Yeah, it's
okay.
It's dark. It's dark.
Okay.
And even for that animation style,
to me the darkest and one of the literal saddest films I've ever seen is an animated film called Grave of the Fireflies.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. Goodness gracious, that movie. I just thinking about that movie and I'm just devastated. Grave of the Fireflies.
Oh,
That has a Blu-ray release that came out in 2012 by Sente Filmworks. You can still buy it. It's still in print, and it's worth every single penny of the $18 that Amazon is selling it for. But
it's good.
I remember seeing it at like stores and stuff, and I watched it. I don't even know. It may have been on Netflix once upon a time or somewhere because I know I don't have it. But it's a movie that you own, but it's not a movie that you rewatch a lot. At least not for me.
It's like Schindler's List.
Yeah, I can't rewatch sad movies very often.
Oh, come on, Andrew.
Like, there are some films I just can't, like, I own just to own them and not to rewatch them, which is an odd thing, I guess. Like, some movies are too good not to own, but also harsh enough not to rewatch.
Yeah. I get it.
Grave of the Fireflies is...
It's amazing.
It's an amazingly sad film. As that is. But moving on from there, MVD is putting out a couple of releases. They're putting out a movie called, what's it called? Ski Party?
Ski Patrol.
Ski Patrol. That's what it is, Ski Patrol. Once again, MVD Rewind Collection is putting out a movie. This is the number 45 in their collection. Damn, I didn't realize there were that many releases. And this is a film that I've never seen before.
Yeah.
All I know is that it has a kind of, early 90s cast in, like...
It's the creators of Police. It's the creators of Police Academy. So
yes,
think
so
Police
it's probably
Academy
in that same vein.
Yeah.
It says featuring an all-star supporting cast in Leslie Jordan, Paul Feig, George Lopez. It's Martin Mull, I think, is in the movie. It looks fun.
Yeah, it looks like, even though it came out in 1990, it looks like one of them 80s comedies where people were partying. There's probably some boobs in it.
Unnecessary nudity, I guess.
Yeah, it's probably got a little bit of everything.
80s had all of that kind of wacky random nudity for no reason.
Yeah.
Even in something like Bachelor Party with Tom Hanks had a lot of that silliness in it. That came out a few years earlier, but still, it kind of, it had that in it. This is coming out in November 22nd, making its Blu-ray debut, Ski Patrol. They're the patrol that's out of control. What a tagline. What a tagline.
Somebody had to put this out.
someone had to put that out. What's that movie I'm also thinking about, Steven, that's also like about skiing and has a bunch of kids in it? Is it called Out Cold? Is that the movie?
Oh, man. Only skiing movie I can think of is
Yeah, it is Out Cold.
Okay.
Came out in 2001. Yeah, that's
a pretty random pull there.
Yeah, it is a random pull. Yeah, Jason London's in it. Zach Galifianakis is in it. Don't ask me why I'm pulling this out of nowhere. I'm just thinking of other movies
we're
that
talking
have to
ski
do with
movies.
Yeah, there's not a lot of them.
I was going to say that what's the one Taron Egerton just did with Hugh Jackman? Where he plays. It's a true story.
That's
ski jumping.
That's not quite the movie. It is called Eddie the Eagle.
Eddie the Eagle. Yep.
Yes, I remember because I bought the Blu-ray, I think, on a Black Friday deal for like under $10, and it turned out to be it's great value.
It's a solid movie.
Under $10. It's a good movie. Like Hugh Jackman's great in it. Taron Egerton's great in it. It's based on a true story, like an underdog story. It's a good, solid movie. Like I would recommend that movie to anyone. But
Egerton likes to do the biopics.
Yeah, he does. Rocket Man. I still think Rocket Man's amazing.
Rocket Man's amazing. It's the movie that should have been praised over other movies, like,
It's a better movie than Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
Dexter Fletcher directed the hell out of this movie.
Yeah.
I remember sitting in the theater being just amazed by it. Like, I was genuinely stunned about how
I think because
incredible it was.
It was a mainstream release, and it was so flat. It's so flashy, and it's got, I think it's gotten...
It's so surreal.
Yeah, it's gotten a little over...
It's a true musical.
Yeah. I think because it's Elton John, people maybe have, like, almost, like, forgotten about it for some reason. I think it's going to be a movie that people come back to years from now and be like, why ain't we still talking about Rocket Man? Like, Rocket Man was so awesome. Like,
yeah,
I think so.
I agree with you.
Yep.
I agree with you entirely. I would be on the lookout for Dexter Fletcher, too, because he's got some projects in the work. He's got a movie coming up called Ghosted that he's in post-production on, and this has a stunning cast. I have no idea what the plot is. Ana de Armas, Chris Evans, Adrian Brody, Amy Sedaris, Tim Blake Nelson. Great cast. He's also, I think he's working on, they're finally maybe getting the Sherlock Holmes 3 off the ground.
Yes.
I think they're in pre-production on that, but I think they've been in pre-production on that for forever. It says he's the director on it, so that would be kind of cool.
So no more Guy Ritchie.
I guess not.
Well,
but
and I've also
he's
heard
not a bad director.
I've also heard Johnny Depp might be getting attached. I've heard that too.
Really?
Yeah. I've heard
Instead of Robert Downey Jr.?
I mean, Johnny Depp as maybe the villain.
Oh, okay.
Because
I still see. Yeah, I mean, however, they honestly just have the cast from the other Sherlock Holmes movies on IMDb.
It's probably early days.
Robert Downey Jr., Jude Law, Jared Harris, Eddie Marsan. They were in the previous two films or the previous film. You remember when that second film came out?
Yeah. Yes.
That came out in like 2011.
I know, man.
That's forever ago.
God damn.
Felt like that came out just the other day.
There's been like 1,000 Marvel movies since then.
Yeah, the first Sherlock Holmes movie came out in 2009.
Yeah, that second one came out 3 years after the first Iron Man, which is what, of course, relaunched Robert Downey Jr., and then he has not made another Sherlock Holmes since. That's 11 years later. And we're finally getting around to pre-production on a third one. He spent so much time in Marvel Land.
I think it's partly that, and partly Guy Ritchie did other things.
Oh, of course, yeah. He's done other things.
Also, that second, people don't really talk a lot about that second movie. To be honest, I think I saw it once when I bought it.
Yeah, Game of
2011.
Shadows.
I don't think I've watched it since.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I like the first one a little more, but yeah,
I remember liking the first one so much more. But moving on, back on track. Stay on target.
It's okay.
Yeah, we got another MVD release. This is from their MVD Marquee Collection line. Different line, same company. This is a Mario Van Peebles film, Panther, written and produced by Melvin Van Peebles, his son, but I believe it's an adaptation of Melvin Van Peebles' book that he adapted the screenplay of himself. Now, this is This is a film that, if you can't guess it just by the title, is about the Black Panthers in the mid to late 1960s. Basically, it's about kind of the birth and the origins of the Black Panther Party, the Black Panther movement in the late 60s during the civil rights movement, civil rights era. Like I said, directed by Melvin Van Peebles. Really cool artwork on it. I did get to watch the movie. It is available on YouTube in a worse for wear condition. A 4x3, 133:1 VHS rip, I assume, or even maybe a DVD rip. I don't know. All I know is it was in 360p resolution, and it was tough to watch. But the movie is good.
Yeah.
It is a movie that is covering a significant period of time. I think like 66 to 68. So you're getting a lot of plot thrown in at you and a lot of things going on politically. It does take a lot of artistic license and all of those things when it comes to the actual facts and history of the Black Panther movement. But it does touch on a lot of big sweeping themes of not only of its time, but even of current times. Like, it's dealing primarily with police brutality and things like that, which of course is something that people are still having protests about today, still discussing today, probably more so now than ever before. And even with all of that, it's a really good movie. You're going to notice a lot of people in the movie. Chris Tucker has a small role in it. Bokeem Woodbine has another role in this film as well. We just talked about him last week. Emmett Walsh is in the film. Joe Don Baker's in the film as this really shitty cop type of guy. It's a really good movie. I really liked it a lot. Obviously, this is I want to say this is Mario Van Peebles' film he did after New Jack City.
Oh, okay.
It feels like that it is, because I think New Jack City was in 1992, I think, or maybe later.
Sounds about right.
And it's in that same vein of kind of examining African American culture within our society and all of those things. But Mario Van Peebles has directed a lot of stuff. Yeah, this is the feature film. He directed second after New Jack City came out in 91. He directed a film called Posse in 93, and then Panther. I said Black Panther. Panther in 95. Ironically, it shares the title with the Black Panther movie. But this movie is about the Black Panther movement, and Black Panther is about the Marvel Comics character. Ironically, they're all talking about like black history, not black history, but just a history of African people within our world, black culture. It's kind of interesting how you can kind of filter those themes through different prisms,
Yeah.
whether it be a comic book movie or whether it be a semi-documentary, historical biopic-ish type movie in Panther. And then New Jack City is kind of taking the whole drug thing and filtering it through an African American society and stuff like that.
Well, I mean,
it's fascinating.
Yeah, it is, and I can also connect that to a recent filmmaker, Jordan Peele. He finds a way to take black culture and black political social issues and filter them through different genres in such a fantastic way. Like specifically his new movie Nope. I'm not going to spoil. I'm not going to spoil anything for anybody, but he finds a way to take a sci-fi premise, sci-fi horror premise, and then filter, social and racial political views through it, in a very smart way. Yeah.
And that's what he's done with Get Out.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he's also done with Us to a certain extent as well.
Yeah.
Us is a little bit outside of that box a little bit, but also still playing within that field. But Get Out, most definitely. I mean, he's taking these, the socio-political issues, surrounding the African-American community and just our society in general, and filtering them through like Twilight Zone type scenarios.
Yeah.
But it's a lot closer to reality than we like to believe.
Yeah.
It really is. As outlandish as the scenarios may be, pretty apropos to our society. But there's a lot of just Mario Van Peebles and now Melvin Van Peebles stuff coming out lately. You had that Melvin Van Peebles set from Criterion that came out. You've got this, which is written by Melvin Van Peebles as well. I know a lot of Mario Van Peebles stuff, has been available on Blu-ray for a while. Specifically, New Jack City. I know that Blu-ray's been around for a while. Now this film, and he's done a lot of television stuff lately in his career. Like he did episodes of Empire and episodes of Boss, and even did episodes of Nashville. People watch that show, but I gotta watch more of Mario Van Peebles stuff. I remember him as being an actor mostly because he has 108 credits as an actor.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I know him most for. But I need to get more of his directed films. That's why I kind of gravitated towards this release. And this release is getting like a high definition presentation of the film, but it doesn't have much else with him, which is unfortunate. I would have loved an audio commentary or maybe an interview from him. It doesn't look like that's on here either.
Yeah, well, sometimes the rights get in the hands of a particular company that's only able to give us at least the film.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with MVD. I know their releases come out. We've talked about them a few times, so I have no idea how much they have in the cachet to create their own special features and whatnot. I think their thing is just kind of getting these movies out.
They're economical releases usually.
And also kind of getting these movies out that don't have releases.
Yeah.
And they're kind of more deep diving into stuff. You know what I mean? Like they put out, all kinds of things.
Yeah,
they don't really have
they're almost
path.
kind of. I mean, I would say Kino has got more backing, of course, but like they kind of like
now they do, yeah.
Yeah, Kino puts out so much and puts out so many random things, and they have less of an identity, like in the sense of like what they put out. They put out basically anything, any.
Well, we all know. MVD's given us one of the greatest gifts of the year in Nicolas Cage's Vampire's Kiss on Blu-ray.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It is a re-release, but still, it's you got to get it. Vampire's Kiss.
I still haven't gotten it yet, and I'm the Nicolas Cage.
Oh,
the thing is,
you're the Nick Cage guy.
I got the German release, so I have a good release of it. But I do want to get that release. Just
for a second, I thought you didn't have it at all.
No, I have it.
I was devastated.
Yeah, don't worry. I have Vampire's Kiss.
Sweet. But moving on from MVD, Steve, is there anything else out there individually you want to talk about? You want to talk about
Second Sight.
Second Sight, yes.
Yeah, we have
you go into that.
Yeah. Second Sight. It got leaked out maybe 2 to 3 weeks ago, but it's officially announced now that for September they're going to have a film starring director Neil Marshall, a film called Bull that came out in 2021. And the description of the film: a brutal enforcer returns home after 10 years absence to embark on a gruesome quest for vengeance against a crime family that kidnapped his son and left him for dead. So yeah, this is a movie where Neil Marshall just goes around killing a bunch of people. And I liked it okay. I mean, it's fine.
Yeah, Stephen, it's Neil Maskell.
Maskell?
Not Neil Marshall. Yeah.
Am I saying... really?
Yeah.
I thought I saw somebody say it was starring Neil Marshall. Oh, sorry. You're right.
I just want to make sure you want to give people
I
the
get it
information.
now. I thought this was the director Neil Marshall as an actor.
No. That would be a hell of a
I
movie.
thought that's what I read. I guess I'm crazy.
Good thing I caught you.
Neil Maskell.
I was gonna let you go with it, but I'm like, no, he can't.
No,
can't do it.
You're just letting me do it, so then I look like an idiot. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Ironically,
I don't edit these motherfuckers.
If you look at Neil Marshall's picture on IMDb and you look at the character in this movie, they look very similar.
Do they?
Very similar.
I'm gonna have to look it up now.
On IMDb, there's a picture of Neil Marshall, the director. He's wearing like some type of, I don't know, fedora type hat or whatever.
Okay,
and
so you know what? I don't feel so bad because they kind of look alike. Kind of.
And then if you go to Neil Maskell, they have the similar type of roundish face and beard and things like that. And it's so you're not far off.
Well, the only thing
you're
is,
not right, but you're not far
the only
off.
thing is Neil Marshall only has 2 acting credits.
Yes.
So he's not really an actor. He
No.
He popped up in.
That's why when you said that, I was like, wait a minute.
He
what?
popped up in one episode of Game of Thrones. That's basically
must have been
it.
a cameo.
Yeah. So I think it was one of them things where I kind of skimmed it and I thought it said Neil Marshall.
Yeah, but it's Neil Maskell.
Yeah.
Neil Maskell, the only other film I kind of know him from is the movie called Kill List from 2011.
Gotcha.
He's in a movie called Small Axe from 2020, which I think is, yeah.
Small Axe is in the film by...
he was in one of the, one of those films that was done by Steve McQueen in that whole Small Axe film series. That was fantastic. It's actually, I think, streaming on Amazon Prime.
Oh, yeah.
All really great. I don't know which one he's in because the IMDb really doesn't tell us. Unless you go to the actual IMDb. But so that was a really good... He must have played somebody. But anywho, back to Bull. Bull is a revenge film.
It's like I just described. His son was killed. He was left for dead by this crime family. He was working for this crime family.
Yeah. So his son's not. Son's not killed. What happens is
his son was kidnapped. Yeah.
No, he's married. Well, I don't know if he was married to or he was seeing a woman. They had a child together, and then they're kind of separating, and the father of the woman he was with happens to be his boss in this kind of crime family, if you will.
Yeah.
And he wants custody of the kid, and the wife wants custody of the kid, and of course the father's going to side with his daughter and take the kid away from him, and through brutal ways, kind of eliminate him from the equation. But he comes back and he wants revenge now. He wants to find the kid, but he's also kind of taking his revenge on everybody who kind of screwed him over in this whole ordeal. It's a brutal, violent movie.
Yeah, it has almost a John Wickness to it, but maybe a little bit more focused on the violence.
A little more bloody.
Yeah.
There's one scene where he cuts somebody's fingers off and stuff, and
he jabs a knife through a dude's mouth. Through his back of his head or something.
Yeah, he's stabbing people in the blood and whatnot.
Like I said, thought it was fine.
Brutal.
It's fine.
It's a very cool revenge story.
I will say,
I won't want to give away nothing else.
No.
It ended a little interesting for me. I'll just say that.
Yeah. What I was gonna say was, and now that I know his real name, Neil Maskell, not Neil Marshall, I found his acting to be maybe a little bit over the top. Sometimes, I found him to be a little bit not convincing. He comes off tough, but I feel like in the movie that the acting didn't always work for me. And
it makes, to be honest, all of that makes sense once you get to the end.
Maybe
there were certain things that bothered me like that, where I'm like, how's this happening?
At the time, I was giving it excuses because I was like, well, it's Neil Marshall. He's just a director. He's just a director trying to act. He's not that good, But now I know it's an actual actor that, not that he's a bad actor, but
no,
sometimes it just seemed like the portrayal of this guy was just a little bit too. It almost felt like a Chuck Norris villain or something like a villain from a Walker Texas Ranger episode where it's just he has something smart to say all the time, and everything's kind of quippy almost. He says when he does say something, he didn't say a lot, but when he does say something, it's quippy and smart assy and but in a really serious way. And I'm
yeah,
I don't know, it was okay.
But this is actually getting quite a deluxe release, though.
Oh, yeah. Oh, then every second sight release is a deluxe release.
I'm guessing that's the case. It looks like it's coming with a whole bunch of extra swag and stuff. You're getting, it looks like art cards and
art cards booklet. You're gonna get an audio commentary.
Yeah.
You get a couple interviews here. Not a ton of features, but it's still a nice little package for a film that. Came
out in 2021, so this is a modern film. Just to put that in perspective.
And that's what I've talked about it before. Second Sight does this a lot. Sometimes they'll put out random older films, like your Dawn of the Deads or coming up soon. I think the Texas Chainsaw Massacre they're redoing. Martin, they're supposed to be doing Martin stuff like they do random stuff, but a lot of times they put out a lot of newer horror stuff, like whether it be the Babadook or the Witch or Nightingale or they put out a lot of modern filmmaker stuff. So I like that. I like that they're giving deluxe editions to some of these indie filmmakers of today. So
okay. Yeah, I agree with you too. For me, I'm kind of hoping and wishing, maybe crossing my fingers, that they're gonna do a deluxe release maybe for all of Robert Eggers' films.
Yes,
that would be kind of dope.
Yeah,
like Lighthouse.
Definitely Lighthouse. Yeah,
The Northman. That would be awesome. Just so I can have like all those boxes like lined up on a shelf together, just for the aesthetic of it all.
Yeah, you sound like a collector right now.
Yeah, I really do.
Yeah, and I guess that's what the show is. So I guess.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah,
but that's Bull, and Bull is directed by,
not Neil Marshall.
Not Neil Marshall. It's Paul Andrew Williams. That's who the director is. Also, the Small Axe episode or movie that he was in was the Red, White, and Blue one, the one with John Boyega as a police officer.
Gotcha.
That's the one that he was in.
Was he one of the cops, you said?
He was Inspector Willis. Yeah, that's who he's credited as.
I can kind of see him now in my head from that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I can as well. But moving on, I think now we go over to a full kind of slate of releases. I believe this is, unless you want to talk about anything else.
No. I think let's go ahead and get over to the Vinegar Syndrome stuff.
I was gonna go Scream Factory and Shout Factory.
I forgot about Scream Factory. Yeah, let's do that real quick. Yeah,
let's go through that. So they got some new releases on the horizon. One here that blew my goddamn mind, so we're gonna get into that. So right now there's a couple of 4K releases that they're coming out with. The Return of the Living Dead, which is a film that I wanted in my collection now for a good 6 years, and I missed out on buying their collector's edition Blu-ray that came out in, I believe, 2016. So I'm like so happy that they're putting this out. This is coming out October 18th, just in time for Halloween. If you've not seen Return of the Living Dead, I think it's just a really fun, kind of cool movie. Okay. It's taken, it's not really a sequel to Dawn of the Dead or Night of the Living Dead or anything like that, but it's in that same vein. Some kind of virus gets released and people are turning into undead zombies. A bunch of people rise from the grave, and it's a fun movie. I really love it a lot. I mean, I don't think I need to really explain it. It's just it's a cult classic for a reason.
All right.
But the one that really blew my mind here is The Last Detail.
Yeah.
The Hal Ashby film is getting a 4K UHD release on October 25th. Now, okay, the reason why this blows my mind for a little bit, one, I didn't see this coming. Two, I didn't know that they had the rights to this movie here in the U.S. because Twilight Time had put out a Blu-ray release here once upon a time, and then we all know that Indicator has put out their own limited edition release, which is out of print, and they have their standard release, which I don't think is out of print. You can still get it; it's available, but it's just I didn't expect this.
It's kind. I mean, look, we've talked.
I'm kind of blown away by it.
We kind of jokingly talk about Shout Select as being super random. It's supposed to be their more, I guess, marquee line, but they've put so many random. They put Little Big League in that line. So now
yes, they did.
Shout Select's going to have Little Big League, Nighthawks, and The Last Detail all in the same line.
And they also put out the Deer. Was the Deer Hunter?
Yeah, Deer Hunter Shout Select.
Yes, I think it was. And they've also put out, the Bruce Lee films. They put out film noir like The Blue Dahlia, This Gun for Hire, The Glass Key.
It's randoms.
It's a random line, which I guess is fine. You can be as random as you want to be. But just the fact that they're putting out The Last Detail, this Hal Ashby film, I'm ecstatic about it because I want it and I don't have it in my collection. I've been wanting it for years, and I've been trying to hunt down that limited edition indicator release. But what also worries about me was what I'm worried about is special features.
Yeah.
What are we talking about in terms of special features? Shout Factory notoriously announces stuff and they'll give us the details later. So stay tuned for the details of the last detail. There's a lot of details there.
Detail.
If you haven't seen this movie, it came out in the 1970s, starring Jack Nicholson, Randy Quaid, and it's about Jack Nicholson and a couple of other Navy, not officers, but I guess shipmen or whatever, are escorting Randy Quaid's character to naval prison, and there's kind of a road trip movie. And it's based off of a book, I believe.
Yeah, giving him a last, let him have,
Kind of
because
a-
he's a
kind of a
young
last hurrah.
kid in the
Yes,
movie.
he is. It's
And
a
so
young Randy Quaid before he lost his mind
Yeah,
in real life.
There's like a scene in the movie where they go to a bar and he wants to get a drink, but he's not old enough, and Jack Nicholson just rips the head off of the bartender who doesn't give a shit. He's just like, dude, why are you yelling at me for?
Yeah, exactly. And Jack Nicholson in the 70s was
known
was
for
on
the
fire.
blow-ups.
He was on another level.
Yeah.
I mean, 5 Easy Pieces, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, he was on another stratosphere. So I'm excited about that. I'm gonna do a comparison, obviously once we get the details, to the indicator release, and then make my decision about which one to finally get. But another upgrade here is Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure getting a 4K Blu-ray release, and I believe that they're only doing the first film because the second film is Bill and Ted Bogus
Journey.
Which is the lesser of the two films.
No, don't say that.
Okay.
There's lovers of that second movie.
I was going to caveat that with saying it's the lesser of the two in many people's opinions and in general thought.
I mean, look, death is in the second movie. I mean, that's a big deal. That's the big image of of the series. And then of course the third movie is out. I'm assuming the studio, I think, Lionsgate put that out maybe. But that will probably not get any kind of boutique release. It's probably made by a whole separate studio. I don't know, but...
Well, Bill and Ted Face the Music is put out by Warner Brothers here in the U.S., and Warner Brothers didn't even give that movie a UHD release when it came out.
That makes sense.
But I believe... that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
It is wild. It's like the Wild Wild West out there for them. But Bill and Ted Face the Music did get a 4K UHD release in the UK from Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
I don't know what the heck's going on. It's the same disc. They could have released the same disc here. You can, if you want a 4K set, I guess you're going to have to wait for Bogus Journey to come out, and you can get the first film and the third film in 4K. Special features wise, that's a whole other story.
Just get the Blu-ray has the first two movies in it.
Yeah, that 2-pack that's coincidentally from Shout Factory is kind of a great set for many people. I know many people have it. I mean, there's a more plain Jane double feature that you can get. You can actually get a Bill and Ted 3-film Blu-ray collection that has all 3 of the films. They've re-released these movies many times. They've done steelbook editions. Like Shout Factory's got, like you said, the collection, the most excellent collection, which has the first 2 films. That's a Shout Select release. But this one here is a 4K UHD release of the first movie. I'm hoping it has the special features that they already have.
I would hope so.
In store, like in house for it. So I don't. Yeah, it doesn't. It's cool.
Sure, somebody's gonna be buying this for the first time, and it'll work out for them.
Oh, for real. I kind of wish they would just give us, the first 2 movies in 4K. Just do a most excellent collection upgrade with the 4K release. Don't play around here by giving us just the first movie, and then maybe we'll get the second. Maybe we won't get the second. Who really knows? It's like, come on. But speaking of a collection that I kind of think is irrelevant, well, I mean, I don't think it's irrelevant, but it's a collection that why are we doing this, Shout Factory? Not to crap on Shout Factory. The Halloween 4K Blu-ray collection. Now, you may be thinking, Andrew, why? Why is that a bullshit collection? Because it's not. It is Halloween, because the movie is Halloween Curse of Michael Myers, Halloween H2O, and Halloween Resurrection, a.k.a. 3 of the lesser films in the collection, in the franchise, in my opinion. And they just released these movies this past year individually in 4K. Why are they putting these 3 movies in a box?
Did they put out these, though? I thought they only put out the first few.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, I don't think they put out all the Halloweens in 4K.
Are you sure they didn't put them out? Hold on.
I thought it was only like the first 3 or 4.
I may have just shot myself in the foot.
Yeah, I think it was only the first 3 or 4 that came out initially last Halloween.
No, they put out the first 5. That's what it is.
Okay.
I still think this is an irrelevant box set.
It's kind of weird that they chose to separate it like this.
You know what? Okay, so I'll take back a little bit what I just said in terms of irrelevancy, but it's going to bother me as a collector if on my shelf I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I've got to put this box set at the end of 6, 7, and 8.
Sounds like a personal problem, Andrew.
It sounds like it sounds like a personal collecting problem. It really does. So it's not an irrelevant box set, but also Amazon is crazy if they're pre-ordering this at $130. I'll tell you that.
It's pretty steep.
That's pretty steep. A lot these movies have their fans. I don't think H2O is bad.
No,
Halloween Curse of Michael Myers. This is coming with the theatrical cut and the producer's cut. I don't really think either film works. I mean, that movie notoriously is an outlier because it has like the Cult of Thorn in it. It's got Paul Rudd playing the character of the kid from the first movie, and he's the main character of it. It is the last film in the franchise that Donald Pleasence is in before he passed away, so that is kind of the significance of him being in the movie. Donald Pleasence always giving it 110%, always.
Oh yeah,
as Dr. Loomis. But to me, Halloween Resurrection is just not good. But that is, that's neither here nor there.
I don't know. I don't know why they waited to release the
and I don't know why
these.
they're doing it in a collection like this and not releasing them individually.
Well, and just the fact that they released, half of the Halloween movies last Halloween in 4K, and then they did it again the other half this Halloween. It's like, why did they? Is it just a production issue? Like they weren't able to do 4K transfers for all the films at the same time, so they only did the ones they could do, or like was this actually a strategic move?
To be honest, I think it's because these are maybe 3 of the lesser films. I don't know. I still think H2O is actually good, so I do take that back.
Maybe what it is to be able to do a box set of all the Halloween movies in 4K.
Cheaper production-wise?
It's probably pretty
individually?
Costly.
Yeah.
It's just, think about it.
It all depends on, my guess, and now that you're bringing that up, is the way you can create this box is probably make it cheaply.
Well, the thing is think about it. Like, think about the Friday the 13th box. They're Blu-rays. They're not 4Ks. So if you're going to do 4Ks of something, to have, how many Halloween films? 10 4Ks in a box set? Like, that's crazy. Like, there is no box set with 10 4Ks.
You say that now, and I bet you, in the future at some point, they're going to come out with a Halloween set 4K collection that's going to have the whole, one all the way through Resurrection.
I mean, nothing surprises me, but I just feel like that, we've talked about it in the past.
They already did it with the Blu-rays. A few years ago, they came out with that set.
Well, I know the Blu-rays, but Blu-rays
Friday the
are
13th set.
At this point right now. 4Ks apparently ain't that cost effective for them to do. Anytime we hear of somebody doing multiple 4Ks in a set, we're told that that's super expensive. So
yeah, I'm hearing one 4K release is expensive.
Yeah, so I don't know if this was just a cost move where they were like, we can do half the Halloween movies this Halloween, and next year with how well that does, we'll do the others in 4K too. Maybe that's what it is. But I mean, yeah, I don't. It's like once again, there's going to be somebody that cares about this. I personally don't really care to. I already own all the films on Blu-ray. That's enough for me.
Yeah, well, this is like my favorite horror franchise, so I own all of these like multiple times.
Really, this is your favorite? This is your favorite horror franchise?
It is. I don't know. I kind of accidentally fell into that. I guess. It is my kind of favorite horror franchise. It's the one that I've owned the most over and over again. I still don't own the 4Ks actually of the first 5 films, which I got to get on. Because I bought that first movie so many times. Like I've bought, and I think we talked about it when Justin Beam came out, because he worked on those Blu-rays.
He did work on
like
these 2.
5.
Yeah.
Yeah, for 4 and 5.
He did feature work on this release too.
Okay. So I kind of have to support this release.
You don't have to, but I mean,
no, I don't have to. Just because
we support him because he's a good dude. He does good work.
He does great work. But I bought in like the first movie so many times. I bought in the second movie so many times. I bought at least each of the movies in the collection, at least the first 5 movies, at least 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
And that's just because, I bought the DVDs, had to upgrade to the Blu-rays, and then they had other Blu-ray releases come out after that. Kind of one of those things. The horror franchises kind of do that, especially the big ones. They keep re-releasing them with something a little extra in them, if you will.
Yeah.
And now Halloween is doing the whole 4K thing. I don't know what franchise next will be doing the whole 4K thing. I would like the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise to maybe do that. That's still a kind of a missing part of my collection. I kind of only have the first movie, and I got to get the other ones, but I'm kind of holding off because I can see those getting a re-release.
They're probably trying to get it together, but I think there is a rights, just kind of like how much of
Friday the 13th had a massive rights issue.
Yeah,
I'm really surprised that set came out.
Yeah,
like that's still a surprise to me. Like they have rights issues now with making another movie.
Yeah,
in that franchise, and then of course Halloween is coming out with new movies. They're coming out with a new movie this year.
Yep.
So and that's from a different company. That's from
Blumhouse.
Universal. Yeah, Universal I think owns that because Blumhouse and Universal have a partnership.
Yeah,
pretty sure. So I wouldn't see a big complete Halloween franchise set yet. Just because Halloween and Halloween Kills and then Halloween Ends are in the hands of Universal Studios. And they put out their own Blu-ray release line too. It's a whole big mess. We can go on for this forever. But this Halloween collection to me is both fascinating as well as frustrating because for me, I would want them individually just for the way they look in my collection. That's my thing. I don't like buying the movie collection sets. I know, Steven, you've done that before. Like you'll buy like a Jurassic Park set or Hunger Games set or something like that.
It depends on the franchise, but yeah, I mean,
I've gotten to that point where the way things are now is they keep rebooting and adding and making prequels and sequels to everything now.
Yeah, that buying a set is almost like
irrelevant.
Yeah, they're going to make a sequel to it, so that set won't be complete. So you might as well just buy single versions. I get it.
Even the Matrix. The Matrix set. There's a 4th movie now. Got to get that 4th movie.
Yep.
But speaking of another sequel, Bad Santa 2 is getting another Blu-ray release. This time by by Shout Factory. This already had a Blu-ray release when it came out several years ago, and so I'm kind of confused why it's getting another Blu-ray release here. I don't think it's coming with anything new in the way of special features. No, I don't think at all. So that's kind of interesting. I didn't really care too much for Bad Santa 2. I thought the first film is as funny and as relevant, and it's a staple watch every year, I think, for many, many people during the holiday season.
It is, and it's maybe one of them concepts that probably should have just been the one movie, but you know how the studios are.
They tried to bring it back. Yeah, the first Blu-ray was put out by Broad Green Pictures, I think. I'm assuming Shout Factory must have scooped up the distribution rights and is just kind of squeezing whatever money they can get out of it. But next up is Three Wishes for Cinderella, which I believe is a Nordic film that is a take on the Cinderella story. They keep readapting Cinderella over and over again.
Yeah.
It is based off of the I think it's Grimm's fairy tales story or whatever the fairy tale story is. So anyone can kind of adapt that story, I think, because I think it's in the public domain because the original story is so old that you can do it. Same thing with like The Little Mermaid. The original story is so old that you can do it. Now you can't do what Disney does with Cinderella with The Little Mermaid. You can't do that, but you can do your own interpretation.
Yeah.
That's why that's why we see so many Frankenstein movies all the time.
Yeah.
People just keep taking Mary Shelley's Frankenstein story and like, hey, let me do an adaptation of this because you can, because it's in the public domain for the most part. But next up is a movie called The Possessed, which I've never seen. It looks like I almost thought it was a werewolf story, but it's not. No, it's not. Interesting. But next we have Kingslayer. Yet again, another movie I'm not aware of, but it is from BAFTA winner Stuart Brennan and Golden Globe winning producer Gareth Wiley, who was a producer on Match Point. Vicky Cristina Barcelona. This impressive,
Woody Allen stuff.
action-packed, based on a true historical events, features a high-profile cast, including John Rhys Davies from Lord of the Rings. Cool. Carolina Carlson from The Young Pope. Ryan Gage from the Hobbit movies. Ian Hanmore from Game of Thrones. That's how they're selling it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's
It's a historical British action medieval film.
yeah.
But moving on then is probably the highlight of this is a Shaun the Sheep movie, Farmageddon, which I believe is the sequel to the Shaun the Sheep movie. Now, Shaun the Sheep is a spin-off character from Wallace and Gromit, I believe.
Yes.
It's done in that same claymation type of stuff. Things from like Chicken Run and Wallace and Gromit. Watch those original like Wallace and Gromit like animation type stuff, and they're all great. Just so fantastic. They made like these kind of short Wallace and Gromit films over the years, and they're really great. They had a Wallace and Gromit, I think, TV series. I think they had a Shaun the Sheep.
I think there's a
series as
Shaun
well.
the Sheep show too, but
Yeah,
I don't think didn't have quite as much effort put into it as the movies do.
No, they don't. They don't quite have the budget, but it's still. I love claymation.
Yeah.
I love that stop motion animation stuff. And this is right up there. And this is really, really cool. I remember when Shaun the Sheep movie came out. I remember when Shaun the Sheep movie Farmageddon came out, 2019. They actually, if you're in the UK, you can get a 4K UHD release of this from Studio Canal if you so care. I bet it looks amazing.
They're highly critically acclaimed movies, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They're very well beloved films, Wallace and Gromit, as well as Shaun the Sheep. So that's really, really cool. So there's all of that. But now we can move on to the headlining.
All right.
The headlining
Vinegar
list
Syndrome.
of things. Vinegar Syndrome and their partner labels had quite a week, releasing on Monday. And I would like to personally thank Vinegar Syndrome and their partner labels for releasing on Monday and not Friday.
Yeah.
Because there's 13 partner labels plus 4 regular releases from Vinegar Syndrome proper, and that was a lot of. And of course, in Vinegar Syndrome style, it wasn't. They weren't just individual titles. Some of them had more than one movies in them.
Yeah.
So, Steven, let's get this ball rolling.
All right, let's go through these. We'll start with the Vinegar Syndrome proper stuff. We got the
all releases.
Yeah, we have the Incredible Shrinking Man in 4K.
A Melting Man.
Or, I'm sorry, Incredible
Different
Shrinking
movie.
Man's
Trust me,
the
different movie.
Criterion release. Incredible Melting Man from, I think, 1977, I believe, in 4K. We have another volume, the 5th volume of Forgotten Giallo. We also have the sequel to The Birds. Just kidding.
It is. Oh, we're going to talk about it.
It is, but it isn't, because it's
I've seen it.
It's not Alfred Hitchcock, obviously, so it's not. But
Christ, no.
Birds
Christ,
2,
no.
Birds 2, Land's End. We also have a double feature I think westerns, Hot Snake and Guns
couple of spaghetti
and Guts.
westerns.
What's that?
Yeah, a couple of spaghetti westerns.
Yeah.
And Hot Snake and Guns and Guts.
Yeah. And sorry, let me go back to Forgotten Giallo. The films inside there are The White Dress for Mariel, Tropic of Cancer, 9 Guests for a Crime, and that's it. Yep. So
in typical, I think each volume has 3 films in it.
Okay. But yeah, so very interesting slate. I was really interested in the westerns, and I did watch Incredible Melting Man.
So did I.
Which I really enjoyed. I enjoyed it.
That movie is so gross.
It is, and
it's got some of the best gooey. Gross.
It's Rick Baker.
Yeah, Rick Baker going full tilt boogie.
Well, this was an early Rick Baker. This
effects.
is before his popular work in, I think, more in the 80s.
Oh yeah, this was before
Hellraiser and The Thing.
What's the werewolf movie he did? Oh my goodness.
Oh, Werewolf in Paris. Paris.
No, not Paris. It's
London. I mean,
American Werewolf in London.
Yeah, American
Holy
Werewolf
crap.
in London.
My
Yep.
mind is
It's okay.
blanking.
You're Incredible Melting Man.
Yeah,
your
it's like my
brain is
brain
melting.
melted. But the Incredible Melting Man, man, what a gross film. So what happens is this guy is on a space shuttle, space mission, and he ends up getting affected by some space radiation.
It was like a sun flare. It was like a sun flare.
Yeah, that's what it was. And the radiation from it, when he got back to Earth, just caused his body to decompose.
Yeah, there's
melt.
2 of them. Yeah, and
then he gets stronger as he melts.
Eats people.
Yeah, and he's got to eat people, which is gross in and of itself.
It's very much out of the 50s, the Atomic Age type of story.
Yeah, it's an Atomic Age sci-fi film done in the 70s.
Yeah, and so it's got that nonsensical science where it doesn't make sense at all, but we're gonna go with it. And
yeah, but it's just entertaining.
It's entertaining, yeah, and like you said,
and
the
it's
effects.
Creepy because he's because they're trying to track him down, they can't quite find him, and they're just finding like parts of him are falling off that they'll find in the woods.
They find
and stuff.
an ear on a bush.
Yeah,
look, his ear.
There'll be people I don't know, picnicking or whatever. He'll come up on them like the Zodiac Killer, and
he kind of comes off like I believe, Toxic Avenger.
Yeah,
very much was influenced by this, which is the trauma film, and yeah, I enjoyed it. It's not, of course, it's not high art or anything, but it's a fun, kind of just like I said, Atomic Age in the 70s type of, horror thriller type of movie.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. You could pair it with The Incredible Shrinking Man.
Yeah,
and it would be complete. The Incredible Shrinking Man is a really good movie.
It's good. It's deep. Yeah,
and it's like a deep, existential, philosophical. This man.
I would watch that one
slowly
first.
Shrinking and dying.
Yeah, watch that one first, and then watch Incredible Melting Man.
And then watch this.
Yeah.
I almost bought that Criterion Blu-ray during the sale. I had it in my hand. I was like, I kind of want this. But it's good, but it's also I think it's 77 minutes long
short,
or whatever.
Yeah.
It's borderline a feature film. This film is about 86 minutes long.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is directed by William Sachs. There was already a Blu-ray release of this many years ago because I remember when it was around. I remember when it came out actually. I think it came out in 2013 by Shout Factory. Coincidentally, we were just talking about them. Coincidentally, you can still buy that release. I kind of would wait on this release because this release has, I want to say, just as many special features, if not more, than the other one does. This one's also newly scanned in 4K. It's got a commentary track with the writer-director, and it's got interview with William Sachs and special artists with Rick Baker, which the other one also does too. So I think they've they've kind of got the same special features as the other one does. So this is the release for you, for anyone listening.
Yeah, I decided to pre-order this one.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
it's got Steven stamp of approval.
Yeah, stamp of
Bam.
approval.
Bam.
I didn't get everything I wanted to get during the pre-order, but I got a good amount. Like some things I decided to wait on. We'll talk about it later, just because I need to catch up on particular labels.
I'm assuming. Yeah, I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm assuming you did not pre-order The Birds 2: Land's End.
I did not. No.
Oh, thank goodness. Did you get to watch this movie?
No, I didn't get a chance to.
Thank
No.
goodness as well, because you did not waste your time. So, Birds 2: Land's End. Apparently, I did a little bit of research on this. They had been working on a sequel to The Birds since the 60s.
Okay.
Like, they had wanted to make one. And, of course, the original one came out in the early 60s. So, yes, since the first one came out, of course, Alfred Hitchcock probably had no interest in doing it. That's my guess. No. He's never done a sequel to any of his films.
he has remade a couple of his movies.
He has remade them.
Yeah.
And ironically, you say that, this feels more like a remake than a sequel, and it's not really a sequel. It doesn't take place in the same town. None of the characters are in it.
So it's a 10 Cloverfield Lane situation.
Yeah, it very much is.
It's like the same situation, but in a different location.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
The first one took place in the West Coast, I think Bodega Bay, I believe was the location. This is a fictional town on the East Coast, and the birds do what they do. They just kind of
fly
wreak havoc. They just start wreaking havoc. But the problem with this film is, whereas the first film, masterfully directed by the great Alfred Hitchcock. This film, not so much. And also the acting by a lot of the people in it are just really bad. A lot of the writing's really bad. The plot lines are boring. And it doesn't really get any interesting until the birds actually attack in the third act.
Gotcha.
That's the only time things actually get exciting. This movie is so bad that the director, who was Rick Rosenthal, took his name off of the movie.
Wow.
So there's a pseudonym name in it that all the directors use when they want their names taken off a movie. And it's called, what's it called? Like, there's a specific name that Alan Smithy. So anytime you see Alan Smithy as a credited director on a movie, that's because the director wanted to take their name off, and they put this as a pseudonym in it.
Wow.
So this was technically directed by Rick Rosenthal, who directed the original Halloween 2. So there's the connection back to Halloween that we were just talking about so much. Bam. There you go.
Done it.
Connecting all these dots. Tippi Hedren, who was in this movie and in the original, disowns this movie, embarrassed by her involvement in it. She doesn't even reprise her character from the first film. She plays a completely new character in this movie. It's not a very good movie. I believe it was a direct-to-VHS sequel or something like that, or it was a direct-to-TV movie for the VHS market back in 1993. It's not good. I'm assuming it's getting released through Vinegar Syndrome because it has its cult following. It's one of those movies that you have to watch with like a bunch of friends and have a fun time with it. But it's not good. It's straight up not a good movie. I mean, IMDb ratings aren't the end all be all, but it has a 2.9. I mean, and it's kind of.
So what you're saying is it doesn't even really have redeemable factors to it.
I mean, it's redeemable in how not good it is. I mean, I guess.
I guess if you just revel in how bad it is, it can be a good time.
Yeah, it really can. I mean, and yeah, it's not good. And it's not even the fact that it's supposed to be a Birds sequel, so you're comparing it to The Birds, because a lot of people probably did do that, and that's why it gets such a low rating, because you're comparing it to, an iconic horror film. But even just taking the film as itself, putting it in a box as itself, it's still not that good of a movie.
Yeah.
All
right.
Yeah, so it's...
well, I haven't seen anything else here. Anything else here you want to talk about real quick?
Well, the Forgotten Gialli, I did get to see one of the movies in the Forgotten Gialli set. I really wish I had some of these sets because they seem so interesting. And I love the artwork on them. I know the first 2 or 3. I think the first 2 definitely limited editions are gone on those. And maybe even the 3rd volume, the limited edition's gone. Don't quote me on that. They do have the standard re-releases, which are basically just the case itself. But you got to get the box because it just looks so cool. But I did get to watch Tropic of Cancer. And this movie is dealing with like... so the Tropic of Cancer is this area within the Caribbean. This film specifically takes place in Haiti. And what is happening is there's this company that is putting out this drug, this hallucinogenic drug that's also a powerful aphrodisiac, and then some people want to get their hands on this drug, so they're committing murders and trying to steal the formula for it and all this kind of stuff. It's okay. It's a fun movie. I want to see who's in this movie. Why isn't it showing me? Anywho, but it's fine. I think it's a fun movie. It's very much a giallo movie because there's a lot of murders and stuff in it. There's these great hallucinogenic sequences of very like sexual, random, like nudities and like tribal stuff going on in it. Yeah, I think it's cool. I think these sets are awesome. I mean, they're not the high-end giallo films that we all know of the time. You know, these are kind of the more B-movie levels of giallo. Still entertaining, still have that style, but don't really have that same pizzazz as like an Argento or a Fulci or something like that.
Yeah.
I got to get into a lot of these sets in general because I just kind of want them in my collection. But that's pretty cool. I did get to watch also Guns and Guts, which is a great title for a
spaghetti western.
A spaghetti western.
Yeah.
Hot Snake I wasn't able to find. I think these are both directed by the same director.
No, it's 2 different directors.
No, the second one is Rene Cardona Jr. He directed Guns and Guts. First one is Fernando Duran Rojas. Yeah. And the second film, Guns and Guts, is yet again a really cool spaghetti western. It's one of those ones where it's like someone who is trying to track someone down. And kill somebody, and he's kind of going along on this journey, and it's really lots of fun. The great shootout at the end of the movie, great climax. It's a kind of a B movie spaghetti western. You know, it's not Sergio Leone. It's one of the lesser ones. It's not even like Django. You know, it's even lesser than that. But Django is awesome. So it's almost not really a fair comparison.
Yeah, I almost got this. I almost blind bought this, but I was like, It doesn't really come with many features. It's looking like just restorations. There's one feature.
An interview with Rene Cardona III, who I'm assuming is Rene Cardona Jr.'s son, I guess.
Yeah.
These movies are, or at least Guns and Guts, is in the same vein as like a Sam Peckinpah, or in his movie The Wild Bunch, but just not as good, obviously.
Yeah.
But still, like, in that same gritty Western type of time. This isn't John Ford, John Wayne Western. This is nothing like that at all. It's not even as somewhat polished as the Sergio Leone ones are, even though the Sergio Leone films are gritty as hell. But at least they have, like, the leading man in Clint Eastwood, and all of that. But yeah, so Guns and Guts, you can watch Guns and Guts on Tubi. It's available on there to watch. That's where I watched it. Yet again, in okay quality. I'm assuming DVD-esque quality, nothing really to write home about. I'm assuming this is going to look much, much better than what I watched. Yeah. But that's pretty cool.
These Westerns seem kind of, I mean, I don't know if you've seen any of these. I've watched a couple of them, but Arrow put out that, they're kind of like B-level spaghetti westerns, Sartana.
Oh, yeah, I didn't get that
series.
set.
Yeah.
I still got to get that set.
Yeah.
I'm assuming very much in that vein. Also,
I mean, Sartana is more, it's trying to be like Django, but it's definitely more of a B-level version of Django. But yeah, I like random, I like finding like hidden gems in the Western genre, because though
this may very well be something in that vein.
Yeah, because I think that though there's a lot of westerns that are all the same. You get kind of tired of seeing the same type of western film. Every once in a while, somebody would push to do something different in the genre, and that's the ones I'm looking for. I think of stuff like Great Silence, stuff like that. Just it's there's and like you said, Peck and Paul. Things he was doing.
Wild Bunch.
Yeah, Wild Bunch, and
some of his other stuff are really good. Even like something like The Magnificent Seven.
Yeah,
is another one. A little more, not as quite as gritty as Peck and Paul or anything like that, but at least it's a little more gritty than like the old cavalry westerns of John Ford, John Wayne, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I totally understand what you're saying. But moving on from there, Steven, we've got a whole host of partner label stuff. This is the meat and the potatoes of this week's release slates.
All right.
Let's get into these bad boys.
Let's do it. Starting with Altered Innocence, we have a film called After Blue. And then we have from a new label, they're called VHS It Fest. I think I'm saying that way. No, VHS Hit Fest.
Yes.
And they're doing a film. They have putting out a film that I think is probably one of the most obscure things. I couldn't find anything on it.
Oh, not that
It's The Corn Shucker.
The Corn Shucker.
Yeah. It looks fascinating, but know nothing about it. And then coming from Saturn's Core, audio and video, is Dead North. Then from Yellow Veil Pictures, we have Faults. And then from AGFA and Something Weird Video, we're getting another collection of Doris Wishman's films, The Moonlight Years, which include films Bad Girls Go to Hell from 1965, and Indecent Desires from 68, and A Taste of Flesh from 67. And then on disc 2, we have Another Day, Another Man from 66. We have My Brother's Wife from 66, and then Passion Fever from 69. And then on disc 3, we have The Sex Perils of Paulette from 65. We have The Hot Month of August from 66, and then Too Much, Too Often from 68. So a lot more Doris Wishman there.
Yeah, we have 9 more films from Doris Wishman.
I kind of want to get both these collections.
They look, I think it was Justin La Liberty who on Twitter posted them side by side in his collection, and they look really good on a shelf, I have to say.
Yeah.
They look really, really slim, really sleek, nice spines that kind of match with one another. And yeah, these are the Doris Wishman films that predate the ones in the first set.
Oh, okay.
Coincidentally.
Cool.
These are the ones from the late 60s. Those are the ones in the, I think, early to mid 70s.
Yeah.
So yet again, in the same type of vein, these sexploitation type films, really bold. And these are getting all like new 2K restorations. There's there's a couple of special features on each of these discs. I did get to see the first film, Bad Girls Go to Hell, because it is streaming on the Criterion Channel, as well as Indecent Desires, which I didn't get to watch, but that's streaming on the Criterion Channel as well. The rest of them are not. I looked them all up. But yeah, cool sets, really cool sets.
Yeah. It's
I love when you can get as much of a filmmaker in a set. As it's filmmaker sets, I don't mind.
Yeah.
Because I like to have like complete collections of anything. That makes my collecting so much easier.
Yeah.
So much easier.
Maybe we'll be getting more. She like we said before, she kept doing films up until I think early 2000s.
Yeah, like up until she passed, I believe. Yeah. So this is a really cool set. I love the aesthetic of it. I think the first one was a pink set. This is a blue set.
Yeah.
Aesthetic wise, very cool.
Yep.
So
yeah, we got more here. We got
more here. Yeah, go through the rest of them.
We got from Gunpowder and Sky. We have Hearts Beat Loud. And then we have from Canadian International Pictures. We have The Kid Brother.
Yes.
From ETR Media, we have another music documentary. We have Low Sound Desert. And then from Fun City Editions, we have Natural Enemies. From Canny, we have Robinson's Garden. From Shock Releasing, Culture Shock Releasing,
Culture Shock.
we have Streets of Death. And from Factory 25, we have Summer of Blood. And lastly, we have from Utopia Distribution, we have You Can't Kill Meme. So a lot of stuff here. A lot of interesting, diverse stuff here. So yeah, After Blue. Let's start there. Let's go back to the top. Alternate Instance After Blue. Did you check this out?
Yeah, this is a new film that just came out. I want to say this February just had come out. This is a movie I think from 2021, but I think it did maybe the film festival circuit in 2021, but then got a more wider release in February of 2022. This movie I did not get to see, but I did see a lot of people talk about it on Letterboxd, and apparently very positively looked at. Yeah, I kind of wanted to see it. I almost had an opportunity to see it, but I didn't watch it. The Corn Shucker, could not find that movie to save my life. Same thing with Dead North.
And funny, of course, as usual, something like The Corn Shucker is selling really fast. I think.
Yeah, some of these are getting. Yeah, we got to talk about this. Either some of these are getting more limited releases, or more people are buying them. Okay, this does have 1,000. This is limited to 1,000 units, so. People
are already buying it because it's.
Yeah, already 781 people have bought a copy, or 781 copies have been bought.
Yeah.
As of this recording, as of August 6th of 2022, so this could run out very, very soon. There's already things that sell out very, very quickly.
I know one of these at least is already sold through its limited, and that's Faults has already sold through its limited.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah.
So so this is actually a film I have seen.
Yeah, I've seen Faults.
Yellow Veil, because this was on Netflix in 2014 when it came out. That's why I've seen this movie. And Faults is a good movie. I really like this movie. This film stars. It's directed by Riley Stearns and stars specifically Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Back in that time, I was kind of watching a lot of her stuff. I still think she's a great actress.
Oh, she's great, yeah.
10 Cloverfield Lane, I think, is great. The film that she did called Smashed, which is which I think she did in 2012, yes. This is a movie she did also... this is a movie she did with James Ponsoldt as the director. And James Ponsoldt had also directed The Spectacular Now, and he also directed The End of the Year, which is a great film that I really want the Blu-ray of. The End of the Tour. No, he directed The End of the Tour. That's the movie. It's the movie starring Jason Segel as David Foster Wallace and Jesse Eisenberg as David Lipsky, who was interviewing him. David Foster Wallace around the time his book came out in the 90s. In 1996, his novel Infinite Jest is kind of most famous work. And I think Jason Segel acted the hell out of that movie, and he's probably the best acting you've ever seen from him. But Smashed was a film that James Ponsoldt also directed, starring Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and then she was in this movie here, and she was very good in this movie.
Oh yeah,
I remember Faults being very good.
Yeah, she's very you could almost say sinister in this movie. Like you can't.
Yes.
She goes back and forth between being kind of sweet, but then there's always this underlying sense of menace in her, and we don't want to ruin the movie, but
I'll say you just the IMDb synopsis of the movie: a cult deprogrammer is hired to help a couple whose daughter is under the influence of a mysterious cult. The daughter being Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Yeah,
and fascinating film.
It goes in places you don't expect. Like it really doesn't. And it's a short watch. It's only an hour and a half, but it crams a lot into that hour and a half, and it's funny. It's not even just it's not just disturbing, but also very funny.
And it's really, really good. So that's when that movie came up on here. I was like, I think I've heard of that movie. I think I've seen that movie before, and I have, because this is one of those movies that it did get a Blu-ray release back in 2014, only here in the U.S. by Screen Media, and that's its only release. So this is a a re-release of the movie, and that release had no special features at all. So this is obviously much different in the sense that this has original cast commentary. It's got a new crew commentary. It's got an interview with the director Riley Stearns. It has a whole thing about cult deprogramming and stuff like that.
It's also got
and it has a short film.
Yeah, I was gonna say short film. Yeah,
short film too. Now Riley Stearns is a director. I'm trying to remember if I've seen any other of his films. I did see the Art of Self-Defense. With,
yeah. I've seen that.
What's his name?
Lex Luthor.
Yeah, I was gonna say Jason. Why is Yeah, it's Jesse Eisenberg.
Jesse Eisenberg, yeah.
Yeah, Jesse Eisenberg is in that movie. But yeah, he directed that film. I think that's the only. Yeah, he has a new film actually out this year called Duel, which I have not seen, which kind of makes me want to watch it.
All right.
Yeah, that movie has Karen Gillan and Aaron Paul. Interesting. I was just thinking of Aaron Paul recently.
Weird.
No, because I've been watching the final season of Better Call Saul is currently airing, and I'm just thinking about kind of how long ago Breaking Bad was on and ended, and like what has Bryan Cranston been up to post Breaking Bad? What's Aaron Paul been up to post Breaking Bad? I always find that I always like to do that with like popular shows that are some of my favorites and that I like. I always like to see like where did those actors go afterward? Like they were so prominent for such a short amount of time. Where do they go? What do they do? Do they ever reach that prominence again or get close to it? I always find that fascinating. But back to the task at hand. Speaking of which, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Faults, check it out. Get this released while you can because it's selling like crazy.
Yeah, the standards are already pretty low, so if you want to get this release
at $440.
Yeah.
So yeah, get it while you can. But moving on from there, we did talk about the Doris Wishman set. The next one that I'm really, really happy to see is Hearts Beat Loud.
Yeah.
Hearts Beat Loud, put out by Gunpowder and Sky. This movie, one of the more underrated films of the last several years to me. I enjoyed this movie when it came out a few years ago. This came out in 2018, I believe. Steven, did you ever get a chance to see this?
Oh yeah, I love this. I own the Blu-ray of this.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. It's
also put out by Gunpowder and Sky.
Yeah, and of course, for me now that I have a daughter, you get the kind of what you don't see as much as in movies. The father-daughter story. Where they're both music lovers and the father they're both doing their own thing and then they decide to make music together. It's a sweet movie.
And what I love about it the most, you just kind of nailed it there at the end, is that there's no like fake false conflict between the parent and child. You know what I mean? Like they have a good relationship. They're on the same level. They're on a very caring, very, honest and, real level with one another. Because when you get most of these kind of, like you're saying, like parent-child films, there's always this forced conflict.
Well, there's
always like they're always fighting with one another.
There's definitely a conflict in the story between,
they've got things going on, but they're not like butting heads against each other.
I mean, I think if I'm remembering, she's I think preparing for college or something, and he's got a vintage shop, and so he's trying to keep the business going. She's talking about going off to school, and then she's dealing with her music. So then they both start working together on music, I think.
Yes,
and but specifically, like I said, I mean, I don't think you see enough films cover father-daughter stories as much as you see father-son stories or daughter or mother-daughter stories. You don't. I think father-daughter stories don't get covered as much in film. That's what I like about it.
Yeah, just off the top of my head, I think you're right. But speaking of who's in this movie, you have Nick Offerman playing the father, Kiersey Clemons, who I think is a great actress playing the daughter character. Blythe Danner's in the film. Toni Collette's in the film. Sasha Lane is in the film. This is a really great indie film. I would recommend this release. Get it while you can. It's already starting to sell. There's only 1,000 units produced. Like Steven said, he has the original Blu-ray release, but this actually has new features to it.
Yeah.
It's got a new feature-length audio commentary, a new interview with the director, a new interview with Nick Offerman, and it has all of the other features that came, I think, with that first Blu-ray release too. So that's kind of cool. They're not only re-releasing it, but they're giving you more.
Well,
to rebuy or buy for the first time.
Yeah, and as we said, I mean, like Gunpowder and Sky, I believe produced the movie, so they have everything. Yes. So
that's also nice.
Yeah, it's good. So
yeah, I really like this movie.
This was a pre-order too. I ordered this one.
Nice. I may actually pre-order this as well. But the Kid Brother I didn't get to see, which I really wanted to see.
Me too.
Because Canadian International Pictures is,
killing it. They've been killing it. Yeah.
They've been killing it lately. They've been doing
a lot of their
releases.
I still need to get their last release before it runs out of limited editions. But
also
it looks like a coming of age story.
Yeah, it's a Canadian or Quebec film that came out in 1986, I believe.
Yes.
87. Oh, Stephen. 87,
production started in 86. No.
Oh, yeah, no problem. But, it did get its release in 87.
Yeah.
Good year. But, yeah, this is something that's getting scanned. Getting scanned in 4K, 35mm camera negative. I'm just going right past it. And, yeah, this is a film that I'm curious seeing about, because it's a film dealing with a physical handicap, if you will. And I'm curious how that was handled back in 87 versus, how it would be handled now. It does look, like you said, like a coming-of-age film, a coming-of-age triumph film, as it says here. And it's curious. I wish it was more widely available.
Yeah.
Because I really wanted to see it, and I just couldn't find it.
Well, I pre-ordered this as well on a whim, so.
Cool. I like the cover art here.
I do too, yeah.
It's very plain, but I think also appropriate. But a Low Sound Desert I did get to see. This is a documentary, a music documentary about kind of the desert the desert of California music scene, I guess, if you will. That kind of area, like the Coachella Valley type area and all of those things. The film's okay. It's kind of unfocused and meandering and just kind of bounces around into different people saying different things about different things. Yeah. It's kind of not really focused. I think one of the more prominent, bands to come out of this area, this geographical area, is Queens of the Stone Age. I think people will know them the most. But they go over them, but they also go over a lot of these other kind of smaller bands that I don't know of, like Kios and A Yawning Man, Fatso Jetson, Mondo Generator. I don't know any of these bands, so I didn't have that kind of, direct connection with this type of, with those bands, so I didn't really know, and they don't really inform me. That's the one thing about this documentary is they don't really tell you about how this music subgenre formed, like how these bands formed. They kind of give you a little bit of it, how they were kind of formed out of the punk music scene of the 80s and 90s and things like that, but they don't really give you a definitive or explain how this all generated out of that. It's not a documentary about the punk music scene or anything like that. It's kind of a little all over the place, but it's not a bad documentary at all. Not much in the way of special features, just 1 hour of various additional footage. I'm assuming stuff that got cut. Now we're coming to a big release, Steven.
Yeah.
This is Natural Enemies by Fun City Editions, and god damn, what a movie.
Yeah.
Steven, did you get to see it?
Yes, I did.
Oh, I need your take on it, because god
good.
damn, what a movie.
I mean, okay, now...
This is as serious a movie as you can get.
I alluded to this earlier. I didn't end up pre-ordering it because I'm probably just going to pre-order all of the Fun City editions that I'm behind on.
Hey, you're missing? Yeah.
Yeah, I got the last 3 I haven't ordered yet, so I'm probably just going to wait and order this one with them.
Yeah, this does have 2,000 units, so you can play around with a little bit of time.
Yeah.
You get a little bit of cushion here, but yeah, Steven, what did you think?
Oh, I put a tweet out saying that, this is a must get, and that if you thought A Marriage Story and Before Midnight were movies that tackled marriage in a
the existential.
if you thought that they were hard to watch,
Life.
watch this damn movie, and
This movie is about as pessimistic as you can get.
You won't want to get married after this movie.
Not only, I don't even think it's so much about that. Like this is a movie that'll bring you down. Like this is a movie that'll bring you down.
It's rough.
In terms of your outlook on life in general. This is as existentially a pessimistic film as one can get.
It's definitely not just attacking the idea of marriage, but it's like
just life in general.
It's just attacking
the hopelessness.
Like
of life.
Of it's attacking. It's going after like what it means to like, give your life to somebody else. Like not even just putting the stamp of marriage on it, like what you're giving up to commit to something. He's going through a midlife crisis of sorts. The wife has already had mental issues throughout the marriage already, and so It's about these people growing apart and dealing with it in their own ways. And to get it, not to get it too deep into it, but basically the movie is from the husband's point of view, played by an actor we know.
Hal Holbrook.
Yeah, Hal Holbrook, and he...
Rest in peace.
Yes. And it's all from a lot of it's the movie's his inner dialogue about how he wants to kill himself and kill his family.
Yeah, because he believes that life is meaningless and worthless.
Yeah.
And he keeps getting influenced by seeing all of these other people doing that in newspapers and like the news and stuff like that, and it's just, and it is on that dark of a level.
Yeah,
and there is just no sense of hope or no sense of willingness to live any type of meaningful life.
Yeah.
It's directed by Jeff. I want to see
Canoe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's how you pronounce it. And I haven't seen any other movies directed by...
Well, one connection here that I know, the audio commentary on here, Bill Ackerman, from the Supporting Characters podcast, which I've listened to, I believe that is his father.
Wow.
He's a podcaster that talks to, kind of like what we do, talks to a lot of different people within film, and like even Blu-ray stuff, all that kind of things. And his dad's the one that wrote did this movie, wrote the novel for this movie. Not the director. He wrote the novel that the movie's based on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is the director's first feature film, but he also edited this film because he's more known as an editor. And he also edited kind of another dark film in the same vein, in Ordinary People.
Oh, man.
Which is also, again, not an upper of a film.
No.
Not an upper at all. Ordinary People, the Robert Redford film from 1980 that won Best Picture, I believe.
Yes.
I believe that just got did it get a 4K release from Paramount and their Paramount Presents line?
I think so, yeah.
I believe it did. I got to get that because I have an old used DVD that I got to upgrade. Because that movie is... Damn, that's a movie. That's a very dark film. Dealing with, yet again, existential dread, hopelessness.
Yeah, and Natural Enemies, like I said, like I did say, it is about, I think it does have a lot to say about marriage in it. But like you said, because I think there's a lot of scenarios in the movie where, you're just seeing the interactions between him and his wife, and, how they treat each other and how routines are created just to get by, just to get through the day.
And what is so universal, I think, about their relationship is it's one of those relationships where you look at it and you're like, why are these two people still together?
Yes.
They should have
How can it
divorced or separated years ago.
Yeah.
There's no love there. There's no connection. There's no nothing there. And it's just like, why are these people still together? And you see that now.
Yeah.
Like, whether it be family or friends or acquaintances or whatever, you can, if you are observant enough, you can see that certain people are maybe not in healthy relationships. They're in toxic relationships. And you wonder to yourself, why are these people together? Is it a fear of being alone? That you just don't want to be alone, that you'll be with anyone, regardless of how bad that situation is? In this case, I think they even mentioned that they stayed together for the children.
For the kid,
which you hear about all the time in divorce cases.
Yeah.
Where adult children will be like, yeah, my parents stayed together because of me and my siblings, and they probably shouldn't have, because if anything, it was worse. You know, them constantly arguing, constantly fighting hurt us when they should have just gone their separate ways earlier on. You know, you see things of that nature all the time. And this film kind of touches on that. And this is a film that came out in 1979, you know, and we're still dealing with those scenarios now with toxic relationships that shouldn't exist anymore. So this film's dealing with a whole bunch of stuff. And yeah, it's a great film.
Yeah,
Just a great film.
It's really well constructed. I'm wondering how close to the novel. Now I kind of want to read the novel. See how close it is to the novel. But, you know, being a married person, you know, I'm not saying that I can relate to it because I don't want to kill anybody. Not yet, at least.
I would hope not.
But you can see some of the things in there that, you know, where a relationship can go down a bad path. And I can relate to, I can relate to the fact of how that could happen. Like I can see if I was with the wrong person, that would be how terrible that would be.
And the one thing I've noticed as someone who's perpetually single and just observant about society and culture, relationships are extremely difficult. They're very difficult to maintain over a stretch of time, any significant amount of time. That's why when you hear stories about people being married for 50, 60, 70 years, you're like, wow, that's incredible. Because how can you sustain that over time? Now, it's not to say that all those relationships are great, but still,
it's not even just about chemistry or liking each other. It's work. Like
it's like it's hard to wrap your mind around, like, you know, because relationships to me are an ethereal thing. You know, there's more to it than just two people being together. There's got to be some type of invisible connection.
Yeah. When you're thinking about, you know, if you could be in a relationship with somebody, you're only thinking about the good things. Typically, you're only thinking about what good could come out of being in a relationship with this person, or you know, whatever. But there's all that time between where choices are made all the time that can cause, and it can be very small things. It could be things that you're not even doing, not even choices you've made, but choices you haven't made yet, that change can make the significant other think differently about you. Like it can make you have to always be very like aware. Like if I'm sitting around the house when I could be helping my wife do something, that alone is something that needs to be thought about. You know, like just many things like that. Just if you're not thinking about the other person when you're doing everything, it's going to eventually cause issues. You know,
right? Like, yeah, and it's a heavy thing to do all the time.
Yeah,
being in a relationship is a commitment. It's a life commitment. You know, you're giving a part of your life to someone, like you're giving your time, your energy, your passion, your emotion, your physical self, not only in a sexual sense, but in a physical sense, like you said, Stephen, doing stuff for this person, this person.
I'm going to work to make money for both of us, not just myself.
And that's a heavy commitment that I don't think a lot of people take seriously, and that's why you see a lot of relationships fall apart. You know, and also, you know, you see things, you know, when things go good, they go good. And when they go bad, they go bad. They fall apart. But it's really, and this film is dealing with a lot of that.
And by the end of the movie, what you realize is the biggest thing that was lost in their relationship was just communication. They would not.
That's another thing.
They would not talk to each other about their issues, and then and like I said, I don't want to give away the movie's ending, but it's like you know. All it needed to really be done was that years ago they should have been talking about this stuff instead of letting it get drawn out so long. If they'd just talked about their issues, they either would have figured themselves out better, or they would have parted ways and would be happier for it.
Very much so. And we do need to talk about, the husband is portrayed by Hal Holbrook. Like we said, it is mostly from his perspective, but the wife is portrayed by Louise Fletcher, who is a great actress. She was in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest playing Nurse Ratched.
Yep.
Won an Oscar for that role, so she's a great actress. She's still acting today in a lot of things. She hasn't acted in about 5 years or so maybe she's a little semi-retired, but, it is what it is. But, yeah, she's great in the film. Really emotional stuff. Great. It's Natural Enemies. Damn.
Fun City just keeps doing it, man. They just keep...
Yeah, they got some... They're digging up some great gems.
Yeah, stuff that I was not aware of this film, and I'm excited. Like I said, I didn't pre-order it right off the bat, but I will be probably by sometime near the beginning of next month. I'll probably be updating my Fun Cities because I got to get all that other stuff and bringing that home with me because I can't wait to watch it again and watch some of the features and listen to the commentary and it's another just like Radio On from Fun City, another kind of big find for me. So yeah,
nice. So moving on from there are a couple of other ones that I did get to see, and I know Steven, I think you got to see another one of these.
I've seen 2 more of these.
Okay, I saw Robinson's Garden.
Yeah, I haven't seen
Robinson's Garden is not streaming. It is available to watch on YouTube if you want to. There are special features on there. How accurate they are, not quite sure. But Robinson's Garden is put out by Connie, who is kind of putting out films in the same vein as like a Yasujiro Ozu and stuff like that. And this film is very much in that same vein. The film is about, it starts out with this woman, character named Kumi, who is kind of living this hippie bohemian type life with a bunch of people in this living situation and whatnot. And then one night she finds these kind of abandoned old factory buildings where there's just a lot of vegetation and a lot of dust and dirt and just, these buildings are abandoned. And she decides she's going to start living there. And then when she starts living there, also everyone else kind of starts living there as well around her. She, kind of not really fix up the place, but paints the place up and whatnot. But you kind of follow her as she's kind of just living her life. She's got this not such a great relationship with this other character. There's this kid kind of running around, and she's also gardening like vegetables and stuff and trying to live and whatnot. It's a very laid back, like an Ozu film, kind of a slice of life type of thing, but it's dealing with a lot of those things. What I found most interesting about this movie is you see the diversity of life to where she lives versus when she goes to the big city. It's such a dichotomy of different places. Like she's alone in these outskirts of towns where these buildings used to be, and then she gets into the big city. She's just surrounded by people, and it's just so fascinating how that dichotomy exists in such in the world. It's a really interesting film. I can't quite explain it to you. It is a little all over the place. There's not a real concrete plot to it. You're kind of just seeing her live from moment to moment and complication to complication. But yeah, it's a cool film. Once again, came out in the year of our Lord 1987, so I had to give it a watch. I got 2 of them. This slate. But yeah, it's cool. I love the artwork on it. Just absolutely love it. So colorful, so bright. Good film. Really solid film. But Steven, what's the other films that you saw?
I saw Streets of Death.
I saw that too.
Yeah, it fits right in there with the type of films.
The title. Title apropos.
It's to be honest, I had a fine time with it. I enjoyed it. It's about these women are getting killed, right? Serial killer out there, and 2 detectives
targeting sex workers, on the street, and they just keep coming up dead, and then the cops are trying to find out who.
But then on top of that, the department allows this documentary, these 2 guys creating this documentary about prostitutes, to be involved in doing that at the same time as these killings happening. So it's things intermingle. I won't give away anything, but it's
super low budget.
Super low budget. Yeah.
Not great acting, not great production.
That's
not,
the thing.
Nothing, any of that.
That's the thing. It's got a charm to it. The things that are the worst about it that I got so much comedy out of was anytime there was scenes between the detective, the young detective, and the one that's undercover as the sex worker. Anytime they would have
working the Vice squad,
they were having a back and forth about when
they had like a romance.
Yeah, they got like a romance that's the worst written romance stuff I've ever heard.
It's just wedged in there for no reason.
For no reason, some of the worst acted lines I've ever heard about. That no chemistry whatsoever, and it's hilarious. Like I loved it. Like he just would like turn to her and be like, "I want to just I'll take you and rip your clothes off." Like he just like says it like like with no like emotion leading up to it or anything. Like
no romance there.
Yeah, he's like, "I just want to snatch you." He just says things like it's just. I'm like, okay. But I still kind of enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed watching it.
What's the other one that you saw?
Summer of Blood.
Oh, you saw? I didn't see Summer of Blood. I did see the last one here, so I guess
you
can talk about Summer of
All
Blood.
Right. Summer of Blood. It's a vampire movie. From 2014, and it's like a comedy. It's kind of almost spoofy-ish in a way, but it stars and it's written and directed by Unar Tokel, I think so you say his name, and he is playing the most annoying vampire of all time. He was already one of the most annoying people I've seen in a movie because he's like constantly trying to he's going out on dates. He's trying to find somebody to be with, and every time he goes on a new date, he tries to like act like how the person wants him to be from the previous person, and then like he doesn't know himself, and he's lazy, and he's precisely when you think of annoying, it's the person that comes up in the dictionary. Like but it's also really funny, and then he like randomly gets bit by a vampire on the streets, and then craziness ensues. I found it enjoyable. I enjoyed it. Like it's not a top notch. It's not a What We Do in the Shadows vampire comedy, but the character is so kind of annoying and worth watching because you don't know what he's gonna say or what he's gonna, it's hard to describe. He's so lazy and he's just so kind of like whatever. Like it's hard to describe, but it's a unique character, and I enjoyed watching it. It might be one I come around to maybe for a sale or something. But yeah, it's Summer Blood is a unique vampire comedy.
Cool. Sounds kind of in the vein of, like we were talking about Vampire's Kiss earlier. Seems a little bit like that.
It's not. I mean, the thing is say you could say Vampire's Kiss, but he actually turns into a vampire in the movie. It's not. It actually.
Kiss.
Yeah, you could say Vampire's Kiss mixed with What We Do in the Shadows, where there's actually vampires in the story. It's. I
was gonna say it sounds very much like What We Do in the Shadows, but the TV series What We Do in the Shadows.
There's close.
Yeah, What We Do in the Shadows TV series is amazing, by the way. If you like the movie, the TV series is just as great, if not better.
Yeah.
And there's an energy vampire on What We Do in the Shadows TV series. And when you were saying that he's just like annoying and
God, he's so annoying.
It is like almost like the energy vampire is the same thing.
He's kind of like that, but this guy goes a little bit deeper. Like he's like super just. It's hard to describe. Like he's just so annoying. But yeah, it's an enjoyable watch. I would watch it again. But get to the last one here. You Can't Kill Me.
Okay. Yeah, You Can't Kill Me. It's a documentary. It says hybrid documentary, but it's kind of a documentary about this concept of mimetic magic and its application by the alt-right in the United States. Now, the alt-right, for those of you who are not political, are the people on the right right side of the spectrum, but they're far right. They're Looney Tune people. They're way out there. And the movie is kind of about that and kind of not. It's not a good documentary. It's pretty terrible. In terms of its structure, in terms of what it's going for, in terms of what it's trying to explore, it doesn't really do a good job of exploring it. Now, the first, I would say, 15 to 20 minutes of this documentary where it's coming up with this idea that, hey, memes and meme culture has, affected us in a way where it's influenced the way we view things, the way we see things, the way we think about things, which is very true. I mean, people all the time, they'll scroll on Instagram, Twitter, wherever, and they'll see memes and they'll laugh, they'll share it, they'll save it, they'll all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I kind of get that. That's a very fascinating idea. This kind of cultural phenomena that memes are. I thought that was a very interesting idea. But then it goes off into Looney Tune land, and starts talking about the concept that maybe memes have a magical quality to them, where they're so powerful in affecting our lives because there's magic behind them. And I'm not talking magic in the general sense, oh, something is a magical thing, like Disney World is a magical experience, come see Mickey Mouse and all this stuff. No, they mean literal magic. Literal magic in the sense there's a magical effect happening on us and happening on the masses that affect us on a supernatural level. And they don't really do anything in explaining how that's happening, why that's happening. They just kind of interview people who are in the magic occult realm and in this kind of mimetic magic world and dark magic world, and some of the people are kind of okay, and then some people are truly people who you can tell have some type of mental thing going on. There's a mental, you can tell when someone probably has needed maybe therapy, maybe medication, maybe some type of treatment, because their mind isn't quite right. And they're interviewing these people and kind of taking them seriously. And I'm like, you got to get these people some help because their thought processes aren't, quite there. They need help. I'm not criticizing them on a personal level, saying, oh, they believe this, therefore they're crazy, get rid of them. No, I'm saying these people probably need some help. And they interview quite a few people like that to the point where none of what they're saying in this documentary really makes any sense. And it's not supposed to make sense. But it just, at the end of the day, when you get to the conclusion that this thing doesn't really tell you anything. That was kind of my big thing behind it. This is streaming on Hulu if you want to watch it, streaming on Canopy. I think you can rent it from iTunes and stuff like that. It's honestly not worth people's time. They do go into the whole Pepe the Frog memes and all that stuff, and how that symbol was kind of adopted by the political alt-right and used in their protests and things like that, and used during the whole Trump campaign and all of these things, and how there was a whole magic behind the Trump delusion of convincing the masses and whatnot. And I was like, this stuff makes no sense. I was like, this is some wild theoretical stuff that has no real basis in fact or even in cultural theory. The idea that you can influence masses through meme culture, through misinformation, that is interesting. But once you get past that idea and you kind of get into more of the mystical stuff, that's when you kind of lose me and kind of lose a lot of people. And I'm someone who doesn't necessarily dismiss magic being a thing. Things like astrology, I think, does have some type of merit in the world. The idea that you can kind of discern people's tendencies based on when they were born. That's not out of the realm of possibility. People believe in all kind of wondrous and things and all kinds of things. If you can back it up with some type of merit, then make your arguments. But this is not really making an argument. This is kind of just splurting out a bunch of nonsense, for the lack of a better argument, and doing it in an unstructured way. There's no real structure to this at all. I didn't like it at all. I almost turned it off several times, to be honest. But I was like, I gotta do it for Steven.
You don't have to do it for me. You do it for the viewers.
The thing is, I never turn off a movie. As bad as it is, I never turn it off. We've watched some really bad stuff here during our time here on Chasing Labels, and I've never turned anything off. But this was I'm wasting my time with this because
that's-
it's going nowhere, and
Yeah.
it ended up going nowhere.
Yeah, that happens. I to be honest, it'll happen to me sometimes. If I feel like my time would be better spent on a different film, sometimes I'll cut something off if it's really not connecting with me.
And that's the thing with documentaries specifically, is movies. I'm not one of those people who think that movies have to connect with you on a personal level to be a good movie.
Not a personal level, but
or even connecting with you on any level to be a good movie. I think there are other merits within a movie that make a movie good, other than its connection with its audience. But when it comes to documentaries that are specifically subject-based stuff, like you've got to watch a documentary about something that's ultimately either interesting to you, or at least they show you something that makes you interested in it. You know what I mean? Like they convince you that this is an interesting subject. And sometimes when they don't do that, you just end up getting nothing out of it. And that's kind of how I felt about this.
All right.
But yeah, that is kind of it for Vinegar Syndrome and all of its partner label stuff. Once again, another good month of eclectic group of things. Like I think the highlights for us specifically is Natural Enemies. Hearts Beat Loud is another one we've got to get our hands on. Faults, I'm really surprised it's selling out as fast as it is, because I thought it was kind of an underrated hidden indie gem of a movie, but I guess that's not the case. People really like it. But yeah, the Doris Wishman set's another one that we would recommend. Another cool
And apparently
month.
Corn Shucker is something people need to check out.
Those VHS, because those VHS titles, it's like these movies were probably only available on VHS. So like such a massive upgrade. Yeah,
and it's a new label. New label VHS hit lists, I think is what it's called.
Yes.
It's a
I
new
don't think
label.
there's anything else on. Nope, first title.
Yep.
First title out of the gate. And Canadian International Pictures has a new one out. Their stuff is also
Kid Brother
really
is
good.
another one I'm interested in. So
yeah, Don't Let the Angels Fall was their last.
that's the one I
got
gotta get too. Yeah.
That was really good.
But
cool stuff. So Steven, you want to get us out of here? We've been here long enough.
Let's get out of here. Where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Kevzilla06, as well as our YouTube channel, Chasing Labels.
And you can find me on Facebook, Stephen Billings. You can also find me at the other Chasing Labels pages, whether it be my Instagram or my Twitter at Chasing Labels, or you can find me on Letterboxd at Chasing Labels. You can find the audio for the podcast on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and other places. Thanks again for listening, and hey, keep on watching them movies.
I know I will.